Hey guys, it's Thursday, February 13th, so tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and I thought I would share my Valentine's Day lesson plan with you guys. It's going to be too late if you're teaching English right now, but in the future, for people who will be doing TEPI's program, it might be interesting and helpful. So, first of all, I wanted my classes to have a bit of a Valentine's theme this week, and I've already done this lesson plan, so I will tell you guys how it went and everything. So to start out, I just started by talking about Valentine's Day, asking my students if they like Valentine's Day, how they celebrate Valentine's Day in France. If you have a smaller class, you can ask them specifically if they have plans for Valentine's Day, what they're going to do if they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So you can get them to talk in more detail. If you have a larger class, you can just ask if they like it and get a general sense from the class and ask them what types of activities people do for Valentine's Day, what type of gifts people give for Valentine's Day. And all of that kind of stuff is going to be just the same as in the US. My students talked about going out to restaurants, and one of my students said the parents go to a hotel, like have a romantic night, and he was just kind of a jokester, but it was funny. So basically, they're just talking about having a romantic date for couples, and the type of gifts they talk about is chocolates, flowers, jewelry, perfume, that type of thing. So all of that stuff, Valentine's Day is the same for adults. My students also mentioned that it's very commercialized, and which is surprising. In France, compared to the US, it's not nearly as commercial. Just because in the US, if you walk into a supermarket around Valentine's Day, there's candy like everywhere. I haven't seen any candies that are like the heart-shaped chocolate boxes and things like that in France. I'm sure they sell them, but like I haven't in the supermarket. It's not like flooded with red and pink like it is. They do have decorations and things like that in the stores, but it's just not nearly on the level as it is in the U.S. The one thing that I found was quite different is how children celebrate Valentine's Day. So in all of my classes, when we were talking about Valentine's Day, I asked them to talk about Valentine's Day in general, and then after I said, do children in France celebrate Valentine's Day? And pretty much all of my classes gave me a like disgusted like, no, of course not. Like, that's weird. Why would children celebrate a holiday that's meant for like romantic love making? And so all of my classes thought it was really weird to think that children would celebrate Valentine's Day. So that's a big difference. Obviously, Valentine's Day is very involved with children in the US. So I explained to my students that, first of all, many children receive gifts from their parents, and in the US, Valentine's Day doesn't necessarily have to be just romantic love. It's often, a lot of people use Valentine's Day as a reason to celebrate love for their family and their friends as well. And so my parents always gave me a little gift for Valentine's Day, maybe just some candy, but still something. And then I talked about schools. In elementary school, we always had a little Valentine's Day party. We would like decorate heart-shaped cookies and maybe play a few games. And of course, you have the shoebox that you decorate and pass out the Valentine's cards. So I talked about that, and for them, that was pretty interesting because they don't have that in France. They don't do those types of things as children, the Valentine's Day cards. So I also brought some examples of Valentine's cards to show them. You could bring a lot of different ones. I had tried to find some like superhero ones because I know those are really popular with kids, but I couldn't find any online that were like real actual ones. There's a bunch of like joke ones. There's a ton of meme Valentines going around right now too, so it was hard to find real Valentines that were funny and appropriate for my students. So I found some that are animal ones, and these ones are really cute. They all have little animal puns, and that's really interesting to teach to students who are learning English. So there's one that says, "You're a tweetheart," with a little bird right here. So I tried to ask the students to explain if they could, and if they couldn't understand the wordplay, then I would explain it. One class, I have only 10 students, so I gave each student one Valentine and asked them to describe it to the class and if they could explain what the joke was. So some of them could explain and some of them were more complicated. So I have just a few Valentines with puns. One of them has a latte on it and it says, "I like you a latte." This one has a bunny and it says, "Some bunny loves you." And then I showed a picture of some homemade ones. This one says, "I love you very much," and "I think you're cool" on the popsicle. And so I handed this out to them so they could see them up close. In the classes where I had a computer, I just showed it on the computer, but for the rest, I just handed them out. And then I also included pictures of the chocolate heart-shaped box and conversation hearts. If you are in the US now and you're going to teach in TEPIF or any other program abroad, teach English, bring some conversation hearts with you. It's something I wish that I had. I guess it's hard to get a hold of them before Valentine's Day, but you could bring some or have someone send them to you maybe. I don't know, or you could buy them the year before. You could buy them right now and use them. They'll be stale, but I guess your students can see them. They thought those were really cool. And there's one that says "no way," and one of my students was like, "Doesn't that mean like I'm not interested in you?" And I was like, "Yeah, it does." And she's like, "Why would you give that to somebody? That's so mean." And I was like, I don't know. I guess if someone said "be mine," you could give them back one that said "no way" if you don't like them. I don't know. So it was funny. I'd never really thought about that before, but a lot of people don't. I mean, people just eat them. They're just candy in essence, but in theory, you could use them to write messages to people. So that really didn't take very long to just ask them some questions about Valentine's Day and then show them these pictures and the Valentines and go over them together. You could always include more Valentines, but they did seem to get pretty bored with it, especially because the jokes are meant for children. Like, they're just puns, and a lot of them thought it was a bit like childish. I think even though they didn't understand the jokes, it's kind of funny with high schoolers. They just don't want to be patronized, even though it's at their level, above their level of English. They didn't understand the jokes until I explained them, but then they thought they were too good for those jokes. So anyway, after that, I continued with a game that was really successful, and it's the famous couples game. You can play this game at, like, I know people play it at parties sometimes where you have to make a list of as many famous couples as you want. And I didn't do it that way. I switched it around. So I created a list of famous couples. I divided the class into 2 teams, and I had them pick one person from each team to go to the board and write. And I read a clue about the famous couple, and whoever wrote it first on the board got a point for their team. I let the teams help them, but it wasn't very helpful because the other teams could hear their answers if they're sitting and they're shouting the answer to their teammate. But sorry, I keep getting messages. It was really fun, and I'll just give you an example. So I would start by giving off more vague, harder clues, and then as it progressed, if they still didn't guess it, then I would give more specific, easier clues. So, for example, the first couple, you can try to guess. They have 3 children. They have 2 daughters and 1 son. The man is very stupid. The woman has blue hair. They live in Springfield. So if you didn't guess by now, it's Homer and Marge Simpson. So I would just give clues like this, progressively easier if they didn't guess. And they really, really liked this game. And so much so that I mentioned in another video, they got too loud, and the principal came to the class and was like, "You guys need to be quiet." And it happened to me again yesterday with a different teacher at the other school. The students were being too loud, and a teacher came and told us that we had to be quiet. So the students really liked the game, but it was quite loud. And I really liked it. I like when the students get excited and they're having fun. Like, I don't know. It's fun for them to see them enjoy the class. And they didn't do a lot of speaking in this exercise, but they had to listen closely. So I think it's good for them to practice listening to a native speaker. So I'll just quickly list the couples I did. I did The Simpsons, Romeo and Juliet, Jay-Z and Beyonce, Ron and Hermione from Harry Potter, Prince William and Kate Middleton, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, Jack and Rose from Titanic, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, Mickey and Minnie Mouse, Mario and Princess Peach, Adam and Eve, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, Shrek and Fiona, Edward and Bella from Twilight, Aladdin and Jasmine, and Nicolas Sarkozy and Carla Bruni. So those are the couples that I did for the game. Then after that, sometimes the game took longer, so it could take the whole class. If you have just a half-hour class, you can just use this game. I did yesterday. I played that game with my half-hour classes, and it took the whole time. But if you need more time fillers after that, I did this activity, which I do often. I really enjoy this activity, and it depends on the class. I don't know how much the students all like this game, but I like it. And basically, you pick a student to go to the board, give them the marker, and then you give all the other students a picture. So I found some Valentine's themed pictures to give them, and all the other students have to describe the picture to the student at the board, and they have to try and draw it. So this one is just two people sitting in some teacups, and there's some rabbits. There's like a lamppost over here with a hat. The first student that drew this in the first class was just like, what the heck is this picture? Because it looks cute, but it sounds so funny when you're describing it. And then I found another one. It was hard to find Valentine's themed pictures. This one is pretty cute also. It's a caricature of a couple, and they're grilling some heart-shaped steaks. There's a plane behind them with like little hearts in the smoke, and you have a little cat. So I'm gonna insert what the pictures actually look like that my students drew. I took pictures of some of them. So here are the pictures that they drew for this one. I'll hold it up so you can compare. Okay, and here are the pictures that the students drew for this image. So that is about all that I did for Valentine's Day. That took up the full class for all of my classes. And I was almost out of activities with one, so you might want to grab another picture or something or add another activity. Another thing I had thought of doing is the newlywed game, where you put them in partners and they have to answer questions about each other. I didn't do it because it doesn't involve as many students, and because it's more work to organize it. But it sounded fun. I considered doing it for one of my smaller classes, but I didn't have time to prepare it. So those are just some ideas for Valentine's Day. That's what I did. Valentine's Day, it's not a very complicated holiday, so it can be hard to make like a full lesson about Valentine's Day. But this is how I did it, so I hope it's helpful for you guys. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.